Tell me a little bit about your career journey. Where did you start out and how did you end up at BayWa?
Yeah. So I started out working for a law firm, McGregor's, based in Scotland. It then merged into Pinsent Masons and I stayed with that business for many years. Whilst I was in private practice, I was working in the corporate team there, so working on a wide range of deals, M&A deals, capital markets deals, but throughout my career I had quite a focus on the energy sector. BayWa was one of my clients when I worked at Pinsent Masons, and an opportunity came up to join them when they were beginning their offshore wind business. So I stepped into that role 4 years ago, which was quite a big transition, moving from private practice into an in-house role, but it's been fantastic and it's a fabulous industry to work in.
Would you say that BayWa has supported your career journey and your time there?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things they've really supported me on is in developing my skills outside the purely legal role. So in developing my wider business knowledge and experience. And I think that is one area I've really benefited from. I'm really fortunate to now be involved in more of the commercial and strategic decisions. Which without a doubt has broadened my skill set, and that's going slightly beyond my pure legal role, but it in turn then lets me advise or provide my legal advice in a way which is much more meaningful to the business as well.
What would you say you're most passionate about in what you do?
I think that's quite an easy person for someone that works in offshore wind. I think our purpose is really clear, and that's in assisting with the transition to net zero. It's a really shared purpose within our business, but not only that, within the whole industry. It's a really tangible goal. It's something that's for the benefit of the planet, and it's also something which there's a direct link between my day-to-day work and actually in achieving the net zero goals.
You can see it in action.
Exactly.
Renewables, we've seen it as maybe quite a male-dominated industry, but things are changing. Was there a moment or a turning point for you where you thought, yeah, this is progress?
I think as organisations are taking more heed of DEI, so diversity, equity and inclusion, I think that is really assisting with the transition into making it more of an open industry for women as well. It's certainly something within our organisation where we are really putting huge efforts into broadening the DEI culture, really embedding it within the culture, and a lot of the young people who are starting out in the early part of their careers, a lot of those now coming into our business are women. So I think there's a clear message out from our central management that it is an industry, it's a sector that is open to everyone.
And how important is it for you and for companies, I would say, to maintain focus on those DEI initiatives at a time when maybe we see them being rolled back?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think it's a key focus. I mean, particularly in sectors and industries such as the renewable energy one, where it really is a global industry, and I think there is so much that can be learned, not only across kind of gender diversity, but across different nationalities, different cultures, different religions, different races, everything. I think if you can really harness the power of that diversity, it really helps with innovation, and innovation is a really key factor in our industry. So I'm hugely supportive of. I mean, it's the right thing to do on a human level, but it's also the right thing to do on a business level.
So you're leading a team now. You're responsible for creating that inclusive, supportive atmosphere. So what do you do to make sure that the women in your team feel supported and feel, themselves at BayWa? Yeah,
so I think there's at BayWa there's a sort of multi-layered approach to DEI. So on one level, I'm part of I'm a global sponsor for DEI within our business. It's a multi-layered approach. On one level, there's kind of putting in place the policies and the handbook for DEI, and that's something I've been involved with. So that then once it's approved by the board, that sets the tone for the whole organisation. I think on the other hand, then there's how you actually embed that culture in a tangible way so that it's recognised within the business. So I've been involved in initiatives such as kind of measuring the DEI on an annual basis, involved in rolling out kind of keynote speeches on DEI topics and really promoting those within the organisation. But then I think another layer is just on the day-to-day kind of aspects. So it's things like ensuring that female colleagues are given the opportunities to attend events, attend conferences, to join committees, to give them the opportunity to expand their networks as much as possible. And then on a practical level, to ensure that there's really good participation of female colleagues, in meetings where they're perhaps, kind of not speaking out, but creating that environment and actually actively encouraging, kind of women to speak up in these opportunities.
So just thinking back to your career, how has your definition of success evolved throughout your career?
Yeah, I think success is something which needs to be viewed through the lens of where your career is at that particular time, and that's obviously something that's going to change and fluctuate depending on where you are with your career. I also think success is very dependent on where you are with your life, so it's important, I think, not to think of success always in a linear way, but to try and think of it in the wider context of your life and your career. I would say that one thing for me that's always been important to try and achieve success is to set goals. And I always encourage others to do that as well, because I think when you've got a more formal structure set up to drive you forward to achieve those goals, they are much easier to achieve.
So what was the biggest obstacle that you've faced in your career, and how did you overcome it?
I think the biggest challenge for me was moving from a private practice law firm into an in-house role. I made the change 4 years ago when I was at quite a midway point in my career. So I was at a point in private practice where I was, kind of very comfortable with my day-to-day. And then, kind of stepping into a new role in a new industry with a whole new set of challenges, a whole new skill set. That was something which is very exciting, but also quite unsettling when you're at a point in your career where you feel quite comfortable, with what you're doing. So it gave me certainly a lot of opportunities, a lot of learnings, but at the same time that can be, kind of quite unsettling. But I am a firm believer in if you're not learning, you're not growing. So sometimes you just have to embrace the challenge and lean into it.
So what's one piece of advice that you have for maybe women out there who are starting their careers but want to aim for those leadership positions in the energy transition?
Yeah, I think it's really important to be resilient and to be robust within yourself, and also to demonstrate those qualities to others. I also think it's really important to have self-belief. You need to believe that your own opinions, that your own views, that they matter and that they should be valued. And you need to believe in yourself that you deserve to have that seat at the table.
Jennifer, thanks so much for talking to us.
No, thanks for having me.